Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Destroy Android shooter game we've been making. This actually is going to be a very short tutorial because it is almost the exact same thing that we did in episode 5. This time what we're going to be doing is we want it so whenever the Android guy hits our ship, a mini explosion goes off and our score is decremented by 1 value. So, I created this new mini explosion picture, which is basically just the explosion one tinted green and a little bit smaller. And it's going to be the exact same as our explosion for when a bullet hits the Android guy. So in our inner class for the Android sprite, I'm going to create a new image sprite and I'm going to call it mini explosion. And just like how we instantiated it here, we're going to do the exact same thing, except now it is going to be mini explosion. And instead of using explosion.png, we are going to be using mini explosion.png. So in our collided with, instead of checking for if it's an instance of bullet sprite, we want to check if it's an instance of our ship sprite. And if you remember, our ship sprite is just another image sprite. So instead, what we're going to have to do is we will have to subclass our ship sprite so that it inherits image sprite, because that way we can actually perform the check. So really fast, I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste our bullet sprite. And instead of being a bullet sprite, it will be our ship sprite. And then up here, back where we instantiated it, instead of using image sprite, I'm going to call it a ship sprite. Now that is set up, in our collided with method, we can now do our instance of. So I'm going to do an else if other is an instance of ship sprite. Then I'm going to set the Android guy to not be visible. And I'm going to take our mini explosion and move it to the ship's coordinates, which will be the ship sprite.x and the ship sprite.y. Okay, and the last thing we need to do is we need to decrement our score. So I'm going to create another, instead of an increment score, I'm going to create a decrement score. And then instead of adding, I'm going to subtract. And if you remember in our edged reach, what we need to do is we needed to delete the explosion if it was actually instantiated. So I need to do the same thing with mini explosion. I'm going to say else if mini explosion does not equal null, then delete the component. Okay. And that should actually do it. If we go ahead and run this program, I should see a mini explosion when the Android guy hits my ship, and I should see my score go down by 1. Okay, so let's see if when we get hit, if an explosion comes up and it decrements our score to -1. So it looks like we actually forgot to show our explosion. So if I go back to our code, yep, I forgot to set mini explosion dot visible to be true. And then we also want to make sure we call decrement score. Okay, so let's see if we can get a collision to happen. As you can see, a little explosion came up, and our score is now -1. Okay, the explosion thing is going away, and that's just because we accidentally put else if instead of if. So now Okay, one last time. Let's see if we can get the explosion to happen and then go away. So there's our explosion, and now it goes away. That's it for this episode. For the next episode, we are going to start implementing sounds. So we're going to have an explosion sound come off when either the bullet hits the android guy or the android hits the ship. And then we're going to have a sound for whenever the user changes direction when steering. Okay, I'll see you next time.